Hi, my name is Sybil, and a few months back I scored a 324 on my first try of the GRE exam, and I got a 4.5 on the analytical writing section. So today I'm going to be sharing with you guys my best tips to acing the analytical writing section so that hopefully you guys can achieve your dream scores as well. We're going to be diving into my time management strategies, my essay structure, as well as some best practices when you're studying for the GRE exam. So let's get into it. So the first thing we're going to talk about is time management, because I think we can both agree that beating the 30-minute time limit is one of the greatest challenges of the analytical writing section. So how I like to distribute my time is I'll spend 3 minutes on just brainstorming and outlining, roughly 25 minutes on the actual writing, and I'll leave 2 minutes to just review and proofread. So here I want to highlight 2 things. The first is never skip out on brainstorming and outlining, because it really does define the foundation of your essay. After you finish reading the question, take a moment to just organize your thoughts. Think about the standpoint you want to take, why you're taking this standpoint, as well as your supporting examples. I also encourage you guys to pick your standpoint according to which side you think you have more to write about. Remember that these GRE prompts are super complicated and super intricate. There is no one correct answer that they're looking for. So make sure that you are writing the narrative you are the most confident in. It's also super important to have an essay structure that you're highly familiar with so that you can easily just plug in your ideas and have a very organized and compelling essay. So how I like to structure my essays is I will start off with an introduction, then I'll follow up with 2 supporting body paragraphs, 1 concession paragraph, and 1 conclusion. So I'm going to be elaborating a bit more on this template later in the video. Something else I want to highlight is the 2 to 3 minutes you allocate to reviewing and proofreading your work should be reserved for minor changes only. So this includes spelling mistakes or maybe some grammar errors. But definitely don't use this time to make any huge alterations to your essays, because there simply isn't enough time. This connects back to my first point, which is always leave yourself sufficient time to really brainstorm and outline your essay. Really think about your standpoint and really think about your reasons and your supporting evidence. That way you have a coherent essay from the start that you won't regret later on. Moving along, we have my essay structure. So starting off with the introduction, I always like to follow the simple and clean hook, bridge, thesis. Let me elaborate. The first component of an introduction is the hook, which basically introduces the reader to the topic up for discussion. Let's take a prompt, for example. The perceived greatness of any political leader has more to do with the challenges faced by that leader than with any of his or her inherent skills and abilities. So an effective hook for this question could be: history often remembers political leaders not just for their charisma or intelligence, but also how they navigated the turbulent waters of their times. Consider Winston Churchill during World War II or John F. Kennedy during the Cuban Missile Crisis. So here I'm really just restating the question and opening up the entire essay. Next up, we have the bridge, which is where you provide the reader with more context about the topic. Personally, I like to do this by lightly touching on the opposing argument. So it could sound a little something like this. While some argue that inherent skills such as strategic thinking, communication, and innate leadership qualities are the key determinants of a leader's excellence, these skills are often prerequisites for any individual to become a political figure. Moving on, we have the thesis, which is where you inform the reader your standpoint on the topic and your main supporting reasons. This is by far the most important element of your entire essay, so you want to make sure it's strong, clear, and impactful. A good thesis that could go with our prompt could be something like, therefore, I firmly believe that the perceived greatness of any political leader is largely shaped by the unique challenges they face. Difficulties present golden opportunities to highlight leadership qualities and achieve transformative impacts, which ultimately define their legacy and elevate their place in history. After you wrap up your introduction, move on to your 2 body paragraphs. Now, this is where you really elaborate on why you selected your position and why it's valid. Always start off your body paragraphs with a topic sentence, which is where you introduce your reason for taking your standpoint. Following that, you want to give a very strong example. So this is where you provide evidence that supports your reason. I know that some test takers get quite stumped here because they have a hard time thinking of a good example that really backs up their claim. But the sky is truly the limit here. Draw ideas from incidents you see on the news, or maybe fragments of history, or even your own real-life incidents and situations that are relevant to the topic at hand. After you put down your example, immediately follow through with an explanation. So this is where you explain how your example connects back to your reason and your thesis. A pro tip for when you're crafting your body paragraphs is to always put your strongest point, your strongest reason in the first body paragraph. This really helps you capture the reader's attention and establish credibility going forward. Once you finish your 2 body paragraphs, move on to your concession paragraph. Now, it sounds like a very fancy word, but in simple terms, it's just the paragraph where you address the opposing viewpoints. Like I mentioned earlier, the GRE loves to give these very multi-layered and complex issues for test takers to write about. So they want to see that you are able to see the problem and approach it from another viewpoint. So that is what this concession paragraph is for. The structure of your concession paragraph will be super similar to your body paragraph. So same thing, we start off with a topic sentence. So this is where you introduce a reason why the opposing viewpoint is also valid. And again, you're gonna give an example that really supports the opposing party, and then an explanation to show how this example or this piece of information really backs up the opposing side's claim. After that's done, we go into the rebuttal, which is the most unique section to a concession paragraph. So a rebuttal is where you acknowledge, then refute the opposing viewpoint. So what we're looking for in a rebuttal is something like, while ABC, the opposing standpoint, is valid to a certain extent, I still firmly believe that XYZ, your original viewpoint, stands firm. And then you go on to explain why that is. So you want to make sure you're acknowledging the opposing party's viewpoint, but then refute it and show how that your original standpoint is still the stronger one. So after you're done with that, all that is left is the conclusion. So while a conclusion can really complete and tie together your entire essay, it's definitely not as necessary or vital as the other components in your writing. So if you're someone who struggles to finish your essay in the allotted time frame, the first thing you want to cut from your essay, if it's necessary, is the conclusion. Or you can just, have a 1-sentence conclusion and call it a day. It's definitely not as crucial as the other elements of your essay. But of course, I'm still going to be sharing my conclusion structure with you guys so that if you do have time, you can really wrap up your essay nicely. First, you want to restate your thesis very clearly. Then you want to summarize the main points in your 2 body paragraphs. And lastly, you want to finish it up with a closing statement. So this is where you can mention the complexity of the issue given by GRE, or maybe quickly acknowledge the opposing side, but then wrap it up by informing the reader your viewpoint for one last time. Now for the last section of today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys my 3 best tips for when you're studying for the GRE writing section. My first tip here is always practice consistently under timed conditions. When I was studying for the GRE, sometimes I'd wake up in the morning and think to myself, You know what, today I'm going to do the writing section without the timer. It's annoying, and I could write such a compelling and coherent essay without all that pressure. But the truth is, when it comes to the GRE exam, your time management skills are just as important as your writing skills. So make sure you're always practicing with that 30-minute time limit for the best results. And over time, it will get easier and easier, and it will be worth it in the end. My next tip is to always review and revise. When you finish your writing practice test, don't just close the tab, don't delete your work. Always make sure you're going back, reading your work, and reviewing it so that you can improve your response next time. Or else all of these practice tests that you do will just be going to waste. But I do understand how frustrating it is when you're staring at your computer screen and you want to improve your writing responses, but you don't know where to start, which is why I've partnered up with Magoosh to share with you guys a fantastic tool that can help you guys level up your writing game. Magoosh is also providing you guys with a free full-length practice test, so listen up. Magoosh's AI-powered essay grader can accurately score your essays while providing insightful feedback and edits that can improve your test score by at least 1 whole point. It's been rigorously tested with ETS samples so that you know it's accurate. So go onto your Magoosh account, press practice, then select custom practice, and press start the session to begin writing. After you submit your practice test, select View Score Report, and Magoosh will instantly generate your writing score. So try this out now with the free Magoosh GRE practice test, which I've linked in my description box. On top of the AI writing tool, you'll also get score predictions and a subject-by-subject performance breakdown. So make sure you're taking advantage of this free resource. Some of you guys may already know that I personally used Magoosh when I was studying for my GRE exam. So I definitely stand by their fantastic tools, and a big thank you to Magoosh for working with me on today's video. So my last tip for you guys today is to constantly expand your knowledge. This means to read more news, to read more novels, to really expand on that vocabulary. Or read more sample essays to understand how other people are structuring their essays and learn from that. This also means to be observant and to stay informed. So pay attention to what's happening on social media, on the news, or in your day-to-day life, because all of this could become your writing material. ETS tends to select writing topics that are very complex, but in the end of the day, very human. So they revolve around your values, your beliefs, and other general topics of interest. So being present can also be super helpful to finding that writing inspiration. So that concludes today's video. And like always, I hope you guys found it helpful. If you're looking for any other resources, please check my description box because I will put my resources down there for you guys, and I'll also link my other GRE videos up in the cards in the description box so you guys can check it out after this. So before I end this video, I just wanted to say that this is the very last video I'll be filming in this corner, in this apartment, because I'm going to be moving to Linden very, very soon. So take a good look around. I want to wish you guys the best of luck on your exam. Just relax, trust yourself, you can do this, and I hope you guys achieve your dream score. With that said, I'll see you guys in the next one.